What's up, guys, and welcome to Honest Tattooer. And this week we're talking about young tattooers opening up their own shop. So I want you to tell everybody your name, where you're from, how long you've been tattooing, and a little bit of what you like to work on.
All right. My name's Brandon Santangelo. I'm from Long Island, New York. I own a studio, Black Book Tattoo, with my best friend and my girlfriend. I've been tattooing 5 years.
Cool.
Technically, I did my first tattoo 8 years ago, but I don't count the iffy days.
Cool. And you're also Matt's client. What's up, Matt?
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
So today you got tattooed.
Yeah.
What'd you get?
It's awesome. I got my hand colored in, and I got a little bit on my bicep colored in.
We've been doing a Darwin sleeve,
Oh, cool.
and dude, it's coming out pretty cool. I'm pretty proud of it.
Yeah, it's coming out amazing. Everybody loves it.
Good, I'm glad.
I hope we put some screenshots of it right now.
Done.
Right there and there. Cool, man. So how long have you had your shop?
A little over a year.
How has it been?
It's been good. Smooth sailing.
What made you want to open a shop to begin with?
Well, you know, me and my girlfriend both tattoo.
Okay.
We live together. And my best friend, by coincidence, also tattoos. And we were all at shops where we were kind of like the only one in the shop.
Okay.
Like it'd be the owner, you know, whoever's there, like doing their little thing and then leaving. And then us just all night long.
Oh, wow.
So it became a kind of thing where we would talk about like what we were unhappy with. And on like a daily basis, you know, we would talk tattoos outside of work.
Yeah.
And we figured, you know, man, wouldn't it be just better if we just got together and did our own studio?
True. How long this is where it's going to get all personal. How long have you and your partner been together?
5 years.
5 years. Cool.
So just as long as you've been tattooing.
Yes.
Yes. You guys started kind of around the same time?
Yeah. We met actually trying to get apprenticeships 8 years ago.
Oh, shit.
And I had a friend whose mom opened up a tattoo shop. She didn't tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
And she took me as the apprentice. And then, you know, I didn't really get any guidance.
Yeah, I was going to, what do you mean? She didn't tattoo, but she
No.
took you in
Yes.
as an apprentice.
Yes. And being an 18-year-old, you know, I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I said, like, I have a dream. I love art. I illustrate. I want to be a tattooer.
That's the time for that sound effect. The wah, wah, wah.
I know. I was like, what?
Yeah.
That's like wild. Like, yo, I'm going to give somebody an apprenticeship, but I don't tattoo at all. I'm just going to give them an
Yeah.
apprenticeship. That's pretty wild. But at that point, like, what made you want to tattoo to begin with?
I was always just into tattooing. I thought as a kid, you know, I would see it and I would just be like, wow, that's like what I want to do. Like Anthony Fleming was like always one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I always loved like neo-traditional style.
Cool.
And I don't know, just something I was like passionate about from a young age. Like I was like, if I can do this, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, Anthony's a badass, guys. Anthony Fleming, shout out to the homie. You know, he's out there in Canada killing it, doing fucking sick tats. But yeah, like I love his work too. And like he used to work with Eckel for a really long time.
Yep.
And that's how I find out his work. And Anthony's a perfect example of what working with very experienced tattooers can do for you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. So early on in my career, I realized like there's a huge gap between the guys like I wanted to tattoo like and like the people around me.
Yeah.
So, you know, they put a tattoo machine in my hand, told me do whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I did a couple bad attempts and I was like, obviously this is in the way.
So you didn't have any guidance really.
No.
You know, like, cause like the person that gave you the apprenticeship, they didn't tattoo.
Yeah, exactly.
So who else tattooed at the place?
There was like 2 other guys who were pretty young. I think they were about the age I am now.
Okay.
Which is what?
27.
Okay.
Yeah, they were like 25 to 27 and they didn't want to teach me obviously because they're just trying to get their own stuff together. You know, why are they going to take their time to teach somebody who's, I'm not going to make them any money.
Yeah. Well, shit.
So.
So in that situation, I mean, how do you remember how long they've been tattooing at that point in time?
I think it was only like 2 or 3 years. There were still like apprentices too.
So shit, yeah. So there's like, it's a whole nother shop.
Yes.
With 2 to 3 year tattooers, and it multiplied into another shop. Because like, you know, you're there and you're like, I'm not getting anything out of this.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, I'm not getting anything out of this. Like, I'm just working.
Yeah. Well, you know, being very young, it took me, I did a whole year of just, you know, cleaning up and being around like, you know, apprentice would, just trying to prove yourself until like the other artists kind of felt bad for me. They're like, dude, like no one's going to teach you here because we don't even know what we're doing.
Yeah.
And then, you know, that's when the light bulb goes off my head. Like, if I'm going to really make this my career, I got to go find like a good mentor.
Absolutely agree. I mean, I can relate to that just because like where I started tattooing, it was like at a kind of very small like shop in like Washington Heights here in the city. And, you know, everybody that tattooed there, like some of them had just a few years experience, you know, like 3 to 5, you know, at the most 3 to 5. And then the owner, he had a little bit more experience, but some of that was jail experience of tattooing. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just a whole nother thing. And like, I thought that they could do good tattoos until I saw good tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it was one of those things like, oh shit, that's what you can do. That's crazy. And that's when I realized I was like, shit, I need to go find some better mentors. But I didn't think I would open a shop at that point in time at all.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't, you know, it didn't go straight from there. And then after my first, you know, quote unquote apprenticeship, I realized like that was bad. I saw an apprenticeship at this one place and, you know, I did like the classic, like come in, clean everything, do whatever they asked, 7 days a week. I think it lasted like around 4 months. I didn't get a single day off. I did 7 days a week. And the guy I was trying to get to mentor me, he was a good tattooer.
Yeah.
But he had some like drug problems.
Yeah.
And some other issues where kind of like got in the way. Like, you know, he would go on like benders and
pretty much good tattooer, bad business practice, you know, like good tattoo artist with bad habits, which equals to bad business habits, you know?
So
like he could just teach you tattooing, but maybe not anything else.
During those couple of months where you were working 7 days a week, were you getting paid?
No, not a dime.
Tipped? Nothing, right?
No. They bought me like lunch a couple times. I appreciated that.
That's how it was for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got free food and some free weed.
I wasn't allowed to smoke the weed yet. That was a privilege.
Like after we like finished working, they were like, yeah, you can smoke. And I'm like, oh man, sweet. But before that, nothing. Just show up to work, figure it out.
Yeah. Technically I had 2 apprenticeships. The first one was the one that I did with Max, which I want to get Max Schoberg. I want to get him on the show.
Okay.
We apprenticed under this guy named Guido.
Oh shit.
And Guido, he was I think he was like maybe in his mid 40s at the time. And Max and I were apprenticing under him. And he was like the guy that you're talking about. Like he's an okay tattooer. It wasn't anything great. He was okay, but he was just a drug addict. Like, you know, he would mid tattoo tell his client, all right, I just got to go use the bathroom real quick. Go in the bathroom, shoot up.
No way,
and then come back with blood dripping down his arm and finish the guy's tattoo. Like he was that kind of guy. Yeah.
That's scary shit, bro.
So yeah, Max and I got the hell out of there as soon as we could. But this guy, he was like old school. He was like, dude, all I want to do is I just want to come down, tattoo, and I don't want to be bothered with anything else. So I would draw all of his designs for him.
What?
And for doing that, he would tip me out a percentage of whatever he got for the tattoo.
Yeah.
And then often because the clients saw that I was the one doing the work, like I would be consulting with them and I would be drawing, I would get tipped out by them also. So it was actually pretty okay. But I mean, it didn't last very long because that guy was like, he was, you know, had his problems.
Damn.
So I stopped with him, and then, you know, months, maybe even like a year later, I got a different apprenticeship finally. And then it was like, he was like, I wasn't there 7 days a week. I think I was there 5 or 6 maybe. But yeah, I didn't make anything until I actually started tattooing and charging clients.
Yeah. I feel like that's usually how it goes. Do you feel like at this point, you know, working with your friends has created a better environment for you to grow in? Even though you don't have like people with more experience there, at least you have people that have similar, you guys are all like, we're going in this direction.
Yeah. It's, you know, it comes down to really like, I guess, diligence and like honesty. You know, like we can all talk to each other honestly about our work and say like, you know, I didn't like this. You can improve this. Like I saw, you know, I got tattooed by this guy and this is like technique he used on me. Like maybe you could benefit from knowing something about this. You know, so we all like share information and we're not like afraid of seeing each other like sore. Yeah. You know, so I think it's been pretty positive.
That's awesome, man. I feel like that's sometimes the hardest part about being like the youngest tattooer at a, you know, older tattooer shop. If they're not very open or, you know, receiving you and stuff like that, then definitely.
Yeah.
It was always interesting.
Yeah. You know, it got to the point where I was, you know, I know my own work and I know like I want to improve constantly. So when you go somewhere and you get a job and you're like, well, this guy's been tattooing a really long time. Like his work not be like stellar, but maybe I can learn some stuff from him. And they're like kind of like putting you on a pedestal. Like you're like the young rock star.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I can't do that.
It was too much.
It was just like the opposite of what I wanted. Like I wanted to improve. I didn't want someone to tell me how good I am.
How great you are just starting out, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. You want to kind of want to get pushed.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to get pushed. You could be better than that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what it is.
I mean, at least from my experience of reading the comments in our comment section, I feel like the way that you're reacting right now is far different from the mentality of a lot of younger tattooers who think that they know it all and they don't need to learn from the older guys. Like, I think you're doing it right, obviously. Like you know that like there's room to improve, there's people to learn from, and you just always want to get better.
Yeah. Obviously I'm getting tattooed by you, so I got good taste.
Yeah. And I feel like that's a huge thing of like, when for me, some of my best lessons was just getting tattooed by people that I liked their work and I admired, and it's like, I went out there, got tattooed a bunch by Seth Wood, one of my favorite tattooers, and I was like, oh man, I just love the way that these tattoos look, that these I saw heel tattoos of his like walking around and I was like, that's sick. I want that, you know? Yeah. And that's when I was like, I'm going to get tattooed by this guy. And it changed like my taste in tattoos and how I like them to look when they heal and things like that. Like all that matters, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely.
And it shapes like your view of what tattooing should look like in your eyes,
Yeah.
But I feel like the hardest part, I think, for a shop where everybody's kind of learning together is that, one, it's going to be harder for you to get somebody from an older generation to go to that shop because they're not going to. I don't know why, but like I feel like in shops, guys like to work with people closer their age. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I could totally.
Like close to their age, just to relate in either in like music taste and just the things that you find funny, like whatever, if like I think it's funny, like with us, like I think a bunch of us had kids within like a year of each other, dude. That was wild. When you think about it, I was like, yeah, we didn't synchronize it, but it went like that, you know? We went from being just tatters to being family dudes tatters, you know what I'm saying? And like we could all share that and like share that experience and talk about all these things. Where if like it was only just one guy in the shop that has like a family and has all this stuff, it's a different dynamic that everybody else is on. So I feel like it does change the dynamic of a shop to a certain degree. It's something that I wish that some shops would be able to like create a good mesh, because I feel like older tattooers have things to learn from younger artists and vice versa. I feel like that creates the best dynamic.
Yeah, I could totally agree.
Here, I think we have like a pretty good mix of like some older tattooers, some younger tattooers. I still would love some younger tattooers to be part of the shop as well, just because like I feel like they have a different energy to bring to the table. And I feel like that keeps, they're hungry and they have like that.
Some of us here still have that hunger.
Yeah.
But it would definitely bring a nice new like outlook on the shop and the business, having like fresh new teeth in there,
Yeah, for sure. I feel like it makes a big difference. And that energy is, you can feel it in the air.
Yeah. It's hard to find somebody though who like looks at it through that lens these days, because a lot of people, like, obviously I haven't been tattooing in a long time compared, Mm-hmm. And I have people who, I'll be tattooing them and they'll be like, oh, so how do I start tattooing? Like, this is what I want to do. And I'll tell them the whole story of all the stuff I went through, all the work I had to do and not getting paid, and, just my quality of life being like zero, but, holding on to the dream. And then everything I said, they just toss in the garbage and they just start tattooing it like, like one of the shops I described that before,
Yeah. Yeah. Or just order some machines. They're like, I'm just going to go add it to my homies, at a house party.
Yeah.
Doing tat parties.
If you want to move your mic around, you seem like you're hunching in.
Sorry.
You
can pull it way closer to you. You can just like yank that thing close. There you go.
You got it.
Do whatever's comfortable.
All right.
Suggested. Okay.
Man, like tattooing nowadays, to start off, like, there's so much access to both machines and equipment that anybody can kind of just pick up and do it. But I think like once they do, the ones that are brave enough to take that route, they come to the rude awakening that is way fucking harder than it looks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How did you say it before? You said something about, so we were talking about how, you said something about it not being hard. It's just easier to do it wrong.
It's easier now to do it the wrong way.
Yeah,
you know,
it's not as hard as, we had it so good before too. I was like, say that again later.
Like it's way easier to do tattooing now the wrong way. You know, there are so many shops that are willing to just take whoever. Like, yeah, you might not be good, but I'm sure you got friends.
Yeah.
You know?
You know people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you know, you can build a network, you can bring more people in. I can, you know, hopefully you'll get better, you know?
Yeah.
Which everybody kind of, for the most part, does over time. Like, if you really want to get better, you're going to get better.
Yeah.
It's just a slower progress than being around like good teachers. Like being around good teachers will help you grow exponentially faster, you know?
Yeah.
Like those little mistakes, you know, like just design things huge. Because most of the problems I feel like, and even on a younger tattooer for the first 5-6 years, it's design problems. You know, some people figure out application actually pretty fast.
Yeah.
And then it's just design issues or a lot of, what I would say is lazy tattooing when there's like, it looks good. And then you go like this. And you're like, oh, it ain't that good. Yeah. You know, like it looks good from back away. You back it up, it looks good. And then as soon as you like get really up close to it, like shading's not right up against the line. It doesn't look super saturated. It like just has a little wonk somewhere.
And what's the answer to that? You observe.
You observe, yeah.
You spend the year being an apprentice and observing. And that way you won't have as long of a process to get your design process right.
Yeah. And that's, you know, like seeing somebody with experience kind of do it, you know, really fucking helps, you know, seeing their process of how they figure things out and asking those questions do help you as a, you know, apprentice or as a young tattooer really like move forward. I have like a lot of appreciation for people that are very inquisitive, you know, people that go to tattoo conventions and do just stand behind you. Just watch you do the whole thing, which has happened to me. Like I've had people just watch me do a whole tattoo. You know, I was like, holy shit, they really wanted to know. Like they really wanted to know this. Yeah. You know, and then they ask, oh, just see you're mixing this and that. Why are you doing that? And you're like, I don't hold information. I tell people whatever they ask, you know? Not gatekeeping.
I've got a lot of I've got a lot of like, the fuck you breathing down my neck for? Like comments before, you know, just watching someone like, oh, never mind.
Yeah. Some people get a little.
Yeah. No, I understand, you know, I'll take what I can get.
It's funny with tattooing. I don't mind people hovering over me and watching, but if I'm drawing, I can't stand it.
I agree 100%. I fucking hate when people watch me draw, especially because I'm like, you know, I'm still roughing things out.
Yeah.
It's going to look awkward.
Yeah.
Things
it's like
going to look weird.
When you're tattooing, at least the way that I work, like I already have most of it figured out. So now it's just literally putting what I have in my head onto the skin.
Yeah.
Whereas when I'm drawing, like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing yet. I'm just figuring it out.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm going to fuck up and I need to, you know, fix it or whatever. Like I shouldn't be embarrassed of that, but there's something about me that like, I don't want people to see that part of it.
Yeah. I mean, I think like, you know, I don't mind showing that in like a 30-second time lapse, but I don't want you to see that I stayed on this weird, awkward spot for like ever in a design. But it's like, I'd love to see those videos too. When people show a time lapse of like how many different design choices they tried before they came down to like, oh, that's going to be the one, you know? Because I feel like that's what it takes, you know, practice a lot, move things around a lot.
We were just talking about the rat tattoo that I did that somebody, did you shoot? I should do this, right?
Oh yeah.
Somebody redrew a version of the a rat tattoo that I did. But that tattoo, I did a time-lapse video of me drawing it. And I had a lot of renditions of that. I even did a couple of studies of different rat positions before I landed on the one that fit on this girl's arm. And the video that I posted of that got so much attention. Like people were like, man, I'm so glad that you posted this process and like really got a lot of knowledge out of it.
Yeah.
So people definitely want to see stuff like that.
Yeah. Because it's, you know, it's refreshing because it's like when you see something awesome, I mean, you think like most people think that was like the first fucking thing that person drew. And it's far from it. You know, sometimes the design process can take so much longer than even just like a stencil or a line drawing or just like planning out, making this bigger, making something smaller, moving it a little bit to the left. Oh man. I have friends that get obsessive about like designs, you know, are like, should we put this little flower here or there? And you're like, dude, it doesn't fucking matter. I think it does, you know?
Yeah,
for sure. I'll ask you this. How is it working with so closely with people that are like your girlfriend and your best friend?
I think honestly, it's really positive because we're not really afraid to like bust each other's balls. You know, like if someone did something like we think is like shitty,
Yeah.
it's like, dude, what went wrong there?
Yeah.
You know, it's like we can be frank with each other. Like we'll say it before the other person says it. Like, yeah, I know, I didn't do it. I wish that was better. You know, just point to myself. So it's a lot of like honesty. Like I've times where I was frustrated with my own work, where I went to like an older mentor, and they were just like, "It looks fine. Like, don't worry about it. You're fine. You're making money." That's not what I want to hear. So
yeah, that's not what you want to hear at all. Especially, you know, when like, you know, when you're asking me to critique my work, it ain't about the money.
Exactly.
You know, it's just like you're trying to get pushed and be better. And like having people critique your work. Sometimes like when somebody critiques your work, it's a little bit of like personal taste. And also I got eyes, bro. I see what the fuck I'm looking at. You know what I'm saying? It's like a little bit of both, and both are good. Because like sometimes even when you're, you know, having somebody critique your work and they're just literally making a personal taste choice of like, I think you should have done this like this because that's just how I like it to look. Sometimes that can give you just a different perspective. Completely like, oh shit, that actually would have been rad. You know, like I would have never thought to do that way, but that would have looked cool, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. The critiques are especially helpful too when you're around people who kind of put you in a bubble where, you know, maybe the person who's like your shop rival isn't, you know, they don't want to push you because they want to blap you. And then you're, you know, and then the other person just like, nah, it's fine. It's fine. It could put you in a bubble where you're like, everything I do is fine. Like nothing's wrong with it.
Well, that happens a lot when, honestly, when you work with your friends, you know, when you work with your friends, like that's why it's good to have outside mentors, like outside of your circle. Yeah. Because like the people in your circle, they don't want to hurt your fucking feelings. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't want to hurt your feelings, you know? So they're going to give you like, if it's somebody that's really good at critiquing people, they're going to give you the perfect compliment sandwich, say something nice, give you the hard truth in there, and then you're going to have something nice at the end to uplift you and get you out of the bad mood that you're going to be in now. But like, I think that ultimately having somebody outside of your circle with experience that you respect, that can critique your work and be brutally honest with you is like the healthiest thing that you can fucking do, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
You know, it's like if you have good parents, they'll tell you when you're full of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
without blinking. They're like, yeah, no.
It's I think some people are naturally born with that gift, but it's also something that you can work on.
Yeah.
There's some techniques to be like, you want to be stern so that you get your point across, but you don't want to come off like a dick either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's, for some people, that's hard.
Yeah, watch Jordan Peterson, dude. He does it all the time. He does it really well.
Yes.
Yeah, it's also finding the line between personal taste and like, I guess like technical like critiques. Cause like there are people where, you know, I show him Matt's work on my arm.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got eyes, you know, it's a good tattoo, but people will say stuff to me like I had one client, you know, I was trying to push him in like a more like tattoo-y direction as opposed to like realism.
Yeah.
And he was like, that looks like an 80s cartoon.
That looks like a cartoon.
I hate it. And I was like, what? Like,
you're like, what?
Scratching my head like, oh, I just don't get it.
I mean, I feel like it's hard to explain art to people that don't have art eyes or don't understand art. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, you show a really nice traditional tattoo to somebody like this, and they'll be like, oh, that looks like a fucking cartoon. You know what I'm saying?
That's easy.
Yeah, that's easy. Like, no, it's not. It's very, very difficult to do a tattoo that simple, that good. There was a good video of Mike Rubendahl talking about how he started pushing people, you know, in Long Island to get like Japanese subject matters, you know, tattooed on them. He's like, I have this clientele, you know, and I just wanted to do like a Fudomiyu, you know what I'm saying? Like all these like Japanese things. And he's like, I just started pushing on them to the point that they had no idea what they're getting.
Yeah, they just know it looks good.
Yeah, he's like, he mentions like that. This guy like mentions like, yeah, he did this fondue on me over here.
Fondue.
Yeah, it's like he had a fudo, but he called it fondue. And I was like, that's fucking hilarious, dude.
Yeah,
so good.
And I was like, oh man, like the guy he's like, I don't even know, but Mikey's he's the best. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Mikey's the best. And that's overall, I think like the best thing you could do, just build such a relationship with your clients that they're like, just let you do shit. They're like, I don't even know, but it's sick because he's going to do it.
It looks nice.
It looks nice.
Yeah, trust.
Yeah, it's a trust, you know? And I think like sometimes that takes time and like building a good portfolio that speaks in the voice that you want, you know? So then people have no guesses. They're like, exactly. Oh yeah, if I come to him, I'm going to get that kind of work.
I came from a place where it was like really like they want a tattoo, you're saying yes. Like if you say no, you're fired.
I love that.
So I spent like a lot of time just trying to like get okay at a bunch of styles rather than like focus on one.
I think that's the best thing you can do when you're starting out tattooing.
Yeah.
If you can do really smooth black and gray shading, I can bet your ass you're going to do really smooth color fades because it takes patience to do both. And just learning how to really control the depth and the smooth whipping of your machine. Like one will teach you how to do the other one better. If you can do really, really nice line work, you're going to be able to do really tight, fine, minute details, you know, with like a liner. You're going to be able to control it more and things like that. So I think like being able to do a little bit of everything, like when tattooers are afraid to use like either a curved mag or like a fine line, like a 3-liner. They're like, oh man, that's so small. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to go spend time doing a different style of tattooing then. That's going to force you to use those needle groupings and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, it's just going to make you a better all around tattooer. You know?
100%. Not only that too, but like if you start off like right out the gate, you're like, oh man, I'm going to focus on one style and that's it. I don't want to do anything else. You don't really know. I mean, I can tell you from my personal experience, I started off tattooing wanting to do new school, right? I didn't really particularly like traditional tattoos the way that they looked. I was like, I want to be more illustrative. I want to be more like artsy with it. I want to, be wonky. And I did that for a while thinking that that's what I was going to do forever. All the while I was in a shop similar to how you guys started off where, you did everything that walked through the door. So I dabbled a little here and there. I did a lot of black and gray realism. I did the traditional tattoos I didn't want to do, but I was focusing on being a new school artist. And then over the years, I realized when those tattoos were coming back and I was making choices that weren't that great.
Yeah.
I was trying to like soften edges that really needed a crisp edge, needed a line. I would see those come back, not looking all that great. Now in my mind, I'm thinking like, all right, well, I did some traditional tattoos. I know those look good. Maybe I should start putting outlines and everything. And I started kind of working backwards in a sense where I was now putting outlines on new school tattoos. And at this time, I didn't even know that neo-trad was a thing.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like in my own mind, like, I know this isn't the right thing to say. Like I was kind of like inventing neo-trad in my own brain.
In your own brain. Yeah.
And then I was like seeing those tattoos come back. I'm like, wow, this is working.
This looks good.
Yeah, this is working. And then I just kind of developed from there. So like being able to apply other styles into the thing that you want to do will make you grow and lead to new avenues that you had no idea even existed.
Yeah. I saw this comment the other day on one of our posts that it was really good. He said, you don't know if what you're doing is working until you've been tattooing for at least 5 to 6 years. Because that's when you'll be able to see some of the shit that you've been doing come back to you and be like, oh, fuck, that wasn't working.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it takes time. Like, so like you're 2 to 3 years in, you still have no fucking idea if what you're doing is actually working. I've seen crazy tattoos by like really good tattooers and seen things that the first day they did it, it looked great. And then I've seen them later and I'm like, oh man, those lines are blowing out like fucking crazy. Like little things that you're like, I bet now those lines are crisper. They're nicer, for a while. I feel like this was like maybe like 2015. I feel like I saw so many, like all of a sudden people were remember that there's big liners, and people were putting a 14 round on fucking everything, bro. Not realizing, I'm like, dude, those 14 rounds are gonna fucking go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because they looked at old tratty tats. I'm like, yeah, those things were probably done with like a normal 7, and then they end up looking like a 14. You know,
Bold will hold.
Yeah, bold will hold. And then I feel like some people took that to the fucking extreme. They're like, bold will hold. Let's fucking run an 18 round shader on this thing. And dude, and it's just the craziest. Just oh man, small designs too, like palm size designs done with like huge fat liners. And I'm like, oh man. Some of these things are going to look wild, you know, like in a few years, 5-6 years. Let's see how these things look, because that ink's going to go nuts.
Yeah. I know when I first started, probably not a great idea, but my philosophy was always like, if it like falls out like a little bit, I can fix that. But if it's blob city, I can't fix it.
I think that's a great philosophy.
Yeah.
That's the way I went by it.
That's the way I go by it. You can do a little, if you chewed it up a little bit because you try to saturate the shit out of it, man, like you can just touch that up. But guess what? If it falls out and it's because you didn't really put it in there, it's going to look like an old faded ass tattoo that you did a bad job on.
No, I think you guys are saying different things. He's saying if it fades, you can just touch it up. But if you chew it up and blow it out, then it's damaged. Like there's no repair.
Well, it depends. Like, you know, if you're shading, I feel like you should pack it, you know, like do your best to pack it. Even if you chew it up a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Like do your best to pack it. Then don't pack it enough and then have it all fall out. And then it looks like a faded old tattoo.
Yeah. So your theory, I always apply to line work.
Yes.
Like I would rather my lines be weak and fall out than blow out.
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of like the mindset I had. Yeah. I did,
especially with finger tattoos when I was doing those all the time.
Oh yeah.
I would like barely touch those in, knowing that they're gonna, they're not gonna look great anyway.
Yeah.
So I would rather do those finger tattoos 2 times, 3 times if I had to, and kind of make it look normal on the second pass than just blown out.
Then
on the first pass.
Yeah. Then have them come back with the illegible blob and go, what happened?
I had somebody, kind of like explain to me how to properly do like a finger tattoo, like fairly early on when I started. So that was like a good look, to learn how to do them. When I'm like, oh yeah, you just got to do this.
If you want to stick around and pay for the Patreon, John will tell you how to do that.
Maybe he'll tell you how to do that tat,
When I was doing walk-ins, I've done so many of the finger tattoos and not one of them ever healed perfectly. Like they're, the client might be happy with it and come back to me for something else. And I'm like, we got to touch that up. Like,
I think that's good though. Like when, at least they came back to you, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like as they came back, let's touch that up. Cool.
Yeah.
But I always believe that like, you can't pick the tattoos that you do for people. Like, you can, but like, people want what they want. And like, just do your best and give them what they want. Give them the spiel. If this is a bad idea, blah, 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 but just give them what they want. Unless it's something so ridiculous, like something like in the middle of their forehead or face and they don't have tattoos. I don't know. But like, at the end of the day, if somebody wants like, oh, I want this like, light script on my collarbone or like right here under my jaw. And you're like, it's a bad idea, but fine, let's do it.
Yeah.
Just do your best.
Yeah.
That's it. Just give them a rundown.
That's something I definitely struggle with is trying to, in the back of my mind, give somebody like the best tattoo possible, but also give them the tattoo they want.
Yeah.
Because, doing a walk-in shop, like a lot of people want to be in the beginning, do something cheap, small, and very detailed. So I started just doing a lot of that like 3-round liner, like where you do the whole thing, like shade it.
Yeah.
Tattoo it with the 3-round liner. And a lot of my clients still, that's all they want from me. And I've kind of like, I'm trying to move on from that.
Yeah.
Not because I've done, like I have some on my girlfriend that, and then 5 years later, they still look pretty good.
Yeah.
They're not terrible or anything, but it's the point where it's like, I'm remembering what got me back into tattoo, like what I wanted to do. I wanted to be like Anthony Fleming, I wanted to do that kind of tattooing.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to like take a step back and look at like what inspired me in the first place and go towards that direction rather than the direction people like pushing me in.
Yeah. Go back to basics.
Exactly.
I think like, when you're tattooing, there's the, I want to tattoo this. There's the, this is what's popular and what will make me money. And then there's the magic line down the middle where it's like, I'm doing just enough of what I want to do, enough that will make me money. It's like sometimes they're not in the same camp, you know?
Yeah.
That's why you got to market yourself, because there's plenty of people to make you enough money to get the tattoos that you want to do, but you just got to find those people.
That's the hard part, you know? Like when I think about artists like Gordo that does something so unique and so like him.
And he's booked all around the world.
All around the world. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like he found his people. He found his tribe.
Let's back up a little bit and get back on track to you opening up a shop.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that was the whole point of this episode to begin with. You were at this shop. The owner of the shop didn't tattoo, right? This is where we are. So at this point, how long were you there before you decided you wanted to leave and you wanted to open up your own spot?
Oh, well, there's a whole... So I was at my friend's mom, opened the shop. She doesn't tattoo. She hires me. I realized this isn't going the way, you know, it went in little dreamland, the 18-year-old that I was. So I went chasing like a good tattooer who tattooed like locally. I didn't have a car or anything. So I was limited kind of like wherever I could like walk to because I'm broke, no car, no money. He lets me, you know, prove myself. I was kind of there for like 4 months, 7 days a week.
Okay. That's that guy. All right.
Yeah. I asked for a day off to go to like, my mom was like hounding me. It was my cousin's birthday. And I like lost my privilege to watch him tattoo after that. And then he started like accusing me, like, did you erase my books, like my appointments and stuff?
What?
Well, he was doing like, you know, pills and stuff. So I think he
was losing it a little bit.
Yeah. And I don't know. So
he thought that there were appointments when there really wasn't any? And
I don't know. Okay. I don't know, man. I was like, he didn't even want it. Like the people would walk in and he didn't even want to talk to them. He'd be like, you book it for me. I'm like, they want to talk to you, dude. They're not going to book it with me.
Yeah.
And, so, you know, that didn't work out. I really had high hopes of that. So I was really like upset when that didn't work out. And then after that, I actually, speaking of Mike Rubendahl, I went to the shop. He learned at Da Vinci Tattoo as the assistant. And I was trying to get an apprenticeship there, but they had an apprentice. Well, like they had an assistant who was going for an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
He was going to quit. So they hired me.
Okay.
And then I guess like I was kind of like the kick in the ass he needed because then he didn't want to quit no more.
Yeah, he was like,
he saw what I went through and was like, I don't
lose my opportunity.
Yeah. So then I was like the man in the middle. And then they realized, hey, this kid actually did tattoos at a tattoo shop. He can't be the assistant here. So yeah, so it wasn't good for me. So that didn't, you know, eventually that came pretty rocky where the tattooers there were like, oh, I like this guy more than this guy. Get this kid out of here.
Oh shit.
So then I got lucky where the other artist who worked at the place with the guy who, you know, accused me of the weird shit and doing the drugs had enough of that. So he started his own shop and then he took me as his apprentice. And then I did like a formal, like a 3-year apprenticeship.
Okay.
Rocky road.
Yeah. Lots of.
So the guy who then gave you the formal apprenticeship.
Yeah.
How long has he been tattooing at this point?
I think he was somewhere around like 12 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of work does he do?
He does like a little bit of everything. Mostly black and gray. He's like a big, like he's into like engines and stuff and used to be in the army. So likes doing stuff like that, you know, black and gray.
Guy.
Yeah.
All right. So then you're working with him for how long before you open up your shop?
I worked for him for, I think total, it was like 3 years. And then, he had a partner and things were getting rocky with his partner. And, you know, it ended up kind of like blowing up. Like they separated. He moved to Florida. So then me and my girlfriend went to 2 different shops. Mm-hmm. And I went to like a walk-in shop for a while and it was working, but it was kind of like there was no business and I was like pulling in all my own people all day. And there was like no one really to like guide me to a point. So I wasn't happy. So I went to like a private studio.
Oh shit! So you were at a bunch of places.
Yeah, I was searching for like my you know,
finding the place.
Yeah, the place, you know, and it just seemed like it was kind of like the more I like climbed up the rope, like the further I fell. So, you know, eventually being frustrated, and my other, you know, my friends are having the same experience. My girlfriend's having kind of like similar experience. We're just like, let's just do it together, and you know, I'm sure it's better than what we're at.
Yeah. Are you guys all part owners?
Yeah, we just split everything.
Okay, you split everything.
Yeah.
Like, this is interesting because, like, I've been in that situation where everybody's part owners, you know? But then business happens.
Yeah.
You know, like responsibilities happen. So like, how do you guys split shop duties? Do you guys have any employees, you know?
Yeah, we have an assistant.
You have an assistant. That's good.
Just our friend, you know, we pay him well and does his thing, and you know, we handle everything else. It's going pretty smooth, you know. It's for the most part, like honestly, like when I was at like the private studio, it was kind of like just a space. Like everything else was on me.
Yeah.
It was just a room to tattoo in. So I was like, it's really not that much different for me.
Yeah.
You
so
know?
now it's still kind of the same way where you're still on top of all your stuff, and all of your own things, etc.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I know the hardest part about running a shop I saw from the inside is getting like a whole team together who can all stay on top of their own stuff.
Yes. Yes. And plus everybody needs different things, you know, like there's people that are more like high maintenance than other people, you know, there's people like, I like doing my own shit. I don't want people really touching my stuff. I like to work like this. And there's always people that are like, I need all of the fucking help that I can get to do everything, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
So it's you, your girlfriend, your friend, and then the assistant. There's no other tattooers. Everybody is either the part owner.
Yep. Yeah. We've been trying to get like people like experienced tattooers to come like guest spot maybe for like basically like, you know, like you keep all you do, but you give us some little tips and tricks and some, but you know, that's kind of hard to get people in there doing that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like the easiest thing you can try to do to get people to go to your shop is you go to their shop.
Yeah.
Try to get some guest spots in good shops where you like people, and, you know, then invite them back.
Definitely.
Then invite them back. I feel like that sometimes works best.
Yeah.
And that's how I built, you know, most of like my long standing relationships either with tattooers from other parts of the world. Just go to their shops, go to their cities, you know, do the convention there, etc.
Yeah.
I feel like that works the best.
I mean, one thing I mentioned is how like Long Island is like, there's a shop on every block now. Every block. And most of them are owned by people who don't even tattoo, or, you know, like I like apprenticeships are annoying.
Yeah.
I just open up my own shop.
Yeah.
I have money, you know?
So I feel like probably a lot of tattoo enthusiasts, people that like tattoos, and they'll be like, you know, it'd be cool, have my own tattoo shop. That's
the thing, man. I've had a bunch of people ask me over the years who just had money who, you know, surprisingly, a lot of them are cops.
Oh, shit.
So they want like their side job.
Yeah.
Their side job, they want to be a tattoo shop. And they're like, yeah, I'll front all the money. You just go in and tattoo. I don't know, man. Like, It's oftentimes cops who want to do that.
Yeah. I feel like people that like tats, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
like
it's
tats.
cool. It's definitely a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
I get the interest, you know?
And I mean, it's, if you know how to do it well, it's a lucrative business, you know?
Yeah.
You know how to, I think one of the hardest things about having a shop is getting other people busy that is not you. That is by far the hardest thing that I've experienced, you know, like in, you know, the years that, you know, No Idols has been around, I've had a good amount of artists come through from different styles, different parts, you know, of the city and stuff like that. And man, building a clientele for someone is really fucking hard, because like I've only know how to do it for myself. So it's really hard to do it for someone else, because it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of diligence, it takes a lot of effort. So to be able to do it for someone else, it's really fucking hard. And then the scary part of wanting to build somebody else's clientele is that I could build this clientele for this motherfucker and they'll fucking walk away.
Yeah.
And take all those clients with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
So it's like, you know, you take somebody and you teach them all this shit, and then you help them propel their career, and then they're like, all right, then I'm out of here.
Yeah, I definitely saw a lot of that trying to find a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Like someone thinks, you know, it might be hard. Like if you're too articulate, you know, if someone might think like, you know, this guy's going to think he doesn't need me in a couple of years, you know, so it's kind of like a balancing act. Like you don't want to like act too competent, but you also, you know, you don't want to like look like you don't know what you're doing. Like you want to work hard.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, you know, when you're working under someone trying to be like, you know, it's kind of like a balancing act. I think it comes down to trust. Like they got to trust that you're going to be loyal to them. And you have to like trust that, you know, not every day is going to be a walk in the park.
I mean, call me crazy, but I think it comes down to contracts. Like it comes down to contracts. If, you know, it's nice to believe that, you know, just trust will do it. But I just don't believe that anymore. When it comes down to like, let's say you've built, you know, a great shop with a lot of reputation, etc. And let's say your shop has a fucking million followers, you know, and it's now an asset, literally is an asset to push other people's careers, you know, then I think you're doing a disservice to yourself if you don't establish some check and balances on things. Like you're going to come to work in my shop that is going to propel your career, dude. It's going to cost you, bro. You're going to have to, you know, the commitment is going to have to be written on paper that you're going to be here for. And I know this is going to be a very unpopular position, you know, because some people hate the idea of like writing contracts or anything. No, man, that's a proper business fucking practice. If I'm going to help you build your career, that, you know, you could be a no-name tattooer to get you to charge, you know, $2,000 a day based on just working here and on the systems that I've built to help you get there, then it's going to cost you.
There's a lot of things that years ago, I would think like, this is how the tattoo industry is. This is how it should be. This is how it's always been. This is how it always be. But now, man, as I'm getting older and I'm realizing like things have changed so much that you have to think the way that you're thinking right now.
Yeah.
Because like, there's too many people involved in this industry now. It has to be run like a proper business, doing things the right way. And if that means like having employees, having contracts and like paying people the way that they're supposed to be paid, I think that it's just the way that it needs to be.
I agree. Just because like, you know, with apprenticing someone, you know, you could invest years into apprenticing someone. You're investing your time, money, energy into apprenticing someone. And unless you wrote a contract with them that says like, hey, I will apprentice you from the point of your graduation day, you have to work for me for this amount of time.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, then you're fucking yourself up, bro. Because after that person, after they already reach that point where they're, I'm tattooing, then they're gonna, some might stay, some be like, sweet. Now I want to, and I want to travel. I want to go travel now because now I can do this, you know? And you can get totally screwed, you know, or you build someone's fucking huge, you know, either through like advertising or whatever, you know, let's say like we go back to the idea of like, you know, you have a shop that's doing really well, builds, you know, really good names and you build somebody's name. That's why like when I've heard of like people like shops where they run an Instagram for you, like, you know, like you come, it doesn't matter if you have an Instagram, they're going to start a new one for you and they're going to run it. Yeah. Because they're going to invest the time in making sure that the photos are well taken, that everything's being done on that. If they're going to invest their time and money to build that Instagram, that shit belongs to them. It is not yours. Unpopular fucking.
No, that's like a good business model. I mean, honestly, smart. That's like the things like, you know, when I'm done doing a tattoo, like I'm not a good photographer. Like I'm like, you know, I just work like 6 hours straight. My back's killing me. And now I got to sit here and make sure I get a perfect photo of this thing. Like, man, it takes a lot out of you. And then if you know, you think you got the good photo and you're looking back and there's tons of glare or whatever, and you're like, oh, you know, so.
I know. I mean, like, that's what I think is so important. You know, if you work for 6 hours and you don't get a good photo, you might as well not work that hard. You might as well not work that hard because that shit's going to.
I know that.
You know, that's a shit feeling. You're like, oh, fuck, I worked so hard and I can't even like show this to everybody now.
Speaking of which, we got to take a picture of your arm today. Yeah, we got to do that.
You know, like that, because that sucks. But I think it's like, if you're going to invest your time, your money into anything, you got to make sure that you have your own back. Because unfortunately, I don't think we're in a world where, you know, good old handshake is going to do it.
No, not anymore.
Not anymore, man.
Yeah. I know my original like mentor who actually taught me, he was, you know, when he was splitting with the other guy, I think he knew he was going to Florida. Like he'd already talked to us like, hey, you guys all want to move to Florida? And we're all like, what? No. So I think he had it in his mind, like, you know, go do whatever you want. Cause I'm out of here anyway. Split. Yeah. So, you know, that made it easy for me.
Yeah.
because I was at the point where I was frustrated with like my career because I wanted to, like I was too hungry. And, you know, he was a good mentor, taught me the basics, but like, you know, the way he wasn't very articulate in that way where he'd be like, you know, like fine line sauce for pussies. And that, I think, was that him telling me it's not going to heal well? Like, what was that? Like, I don't know, you know, like
saying it's for pussies.
Yeah. You know, so I asked, you know, can I go do guest spots and you know, learn from other people and stuff? And I got like a lukewarm, like
well, I feel like that comes also from like a fear of like maybe he's gonna like it there better and just leave, you know? It's a possibility.
Yeah.
This is the shit you got to take though.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, I think that shows his lack of confidence as a mentor, though. I think we talked about it before, where a good teacher wants his student to surpass him.
For sure.
Yes.
And if that means get knowledge from other sources, then go fucking do it.
Yeah. So you can just do better.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I think like every mentor knows when they reach a point where like, oh man, they've already reached that point where
I've taught you everything.
I've taught you everything I could teach you. Like now it's up to you if you want to keep getting better.
Yeah.
To go find better mentors and keep pushing yourself, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Or, you know, hopefully you can reach a point where it's like, let's keep pushing ourselves, you know? Like now you can push me back, you know, and I can like keep getting better. And I feel like that's, to me, one of the best dynamics, you know?
Like a relationship needs to grow in stages.
For sure.
You can't stay the same forever, you know? It just can't.
Absolutely. And I feel like, you know, like I had an apprentice, fired him. You know, but no bad blood, you know, at the end of the day, I do want him to still try to achieve his dreams, maybe doing it in the order that I wanted him to. Didn't work out. But if he continues to tattoo and gets better and good at tattooing, I would love for him to get better and get really good at tattooing and then come work with me again. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because ultimately we got along great, but the professional relationship didn't work out. That's I think where it's at, definitely. You know, where it's like, you know, sometimes like a good mentor, you guys can get along great. And sometimes that can be to your detriment.
Yeah.
You know, because like, you know, if you know, it's like as a parent, you shouldn't really aim to be your child's friend. You're there to be the parent. Yep. And you're not going to be able to really be both because there's lines that are blurred. You know, once you cross that, like, oh, we're friends. You know, like, nah, motherfucker, we're not fucking friends. I'm here to make you better. Yeah. In order to make people better, you have to get them ready for the things that they're going to face, which is hard truths from other people. So if you don't start from the rip, giving those hard truths to the people that you're either mentoring or, you know, raising in a sense, you know, they're never going to fucking be ready when they come.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally. Yeah.
And I feel like the outside world will always be way more harsh than those that care about you and give you some harsh truths. Yeah. So prepare yourselves.
How far into your career do you feel like you would be ready to take on an apprentice?
Oh God. Honestly, I feel like that's like shaky because I feel like I was never taught the fundamentals to the degree like I wish I was. I was always kind of someone like I drew a lot on paper, like I illustrated a lot. And, the people who were in the mentor position would like look at my drawings and stuff and be like, oh, I don't need to teach you. Like, you're fine. Like, just go do it. And then, I'm like sinking, I don't know how to swim, no floaties. So I don't know. I feel like if somebody teaches you the like good foundation, and then you can go on and teach that. But if you're learning it all for yourself, it's kind of like jumbled in your mind. It's going to be way harder for you to actually teach someone. Like us three wouldn't not take on an apprentice. That's for sure. Like, that's ridiculous to us. Like, we always looked for somebody who was going to mentor us, that wasn't full of crap, because there are guys too on Long Island who lie, who have not been tattooing a long time, who will claim like stolen valor. Like, I've been tattooing 10 years.
Long Island.
Yeah. That's everywhere.
Yeah. So, so I don't know. I wouldn't really want to teach someone the foundations until I thought I was like solid.
I want to give you a high five of that because I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I've been tattooing for 17 years and my apprenticeship was kind of rocky also. Like the guy that taught me, whether or not he had a formal apprenticeship, I don't know. He could have taught himself. I've never asked. I don't know. He gave me good foundation as far as like, this is how you tune a machine. This is how you make needles. But there was something about the way that he taught that I didn't feel like I actually grasped everything.
Yeah.
So like now I'm so fortunate that I work in a shop with all these people that like, if I need to get a little information, I can ask John for something. I can ask Gabe for something like, but I never felt that I knew everything with a concrete, form that I can then deliver that information somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I think that's like stand up of you to admit that also that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I feel like it's definitely something where like even, and this is like a timeline I feel like I have in my head, right? I feel like it takes at least like, I'm going to say 6 years. I would say 7, but I'm going to say 6 years to figure out that you figured out to tattoo. Like, oh shit, I figured out. Yeah. That's when you have the aha, like, oh shit, I can put in solid clean lines. I saw them heal back. They came out clean as fuck. I did really solid shit. It's clean. And then I feel like it takes at least 10 years for you to be able to explain to someone what you figured out. Like be able to really know why it works and like to really be able to like give that information, sometimes even longer for other people, because some people just happen to be better teachers than others. So like, even though like I've heard like people like in the comments about things like this, where like, oh, somebody can be a really good tattooer in like 3 years. Like maybe they can be really good tattooers under 3 years, but can they tell you why? Can they tell you why things are working? Can they explain the things that they learned? Or is it just good intuition, because like that's a very different thing. Yeah. It's like there's people that are amazing artists, they can just draw, but then you explain to me the anatomy of a face, and like why everything. Oh, I don't know.
I just look and do it.
I just look and do it.
I can't wait until Skylar comes back and we have her on the show because that's what I told her all the time. She would ask me all the time, how do you draw? I was like, I don't just fucking look at it and draw.
I had a situation with a friend where it's like, she was like, where do I shade it? And I'm like, you have your reference right there. You see the reference right there. And then like, I walked away, I came back and it was completely fucking different. I was like, hey, what are you doing? Why'd you put that there? Oh, I don't know. Like, look at your reference. Yeah. That was not there. Like, why did you put this black shading there? It wasn't on your reference. And it's like, I don't know. It's panics,
Yeah.
It's funny because even when my friend who now owns the shop with me, my friend Aaron, when we were younger, I was really into drawing and he didn't practice, but he was as into it as I was. So he's always asking me like, how'd you do this? Like, what did you do here? What'd you do there? And I remember trying to sit down and teach him and just being like, just do it.
Just look at that.
Just do it. And it wasn't until like I told him, like, after he, asking me, like I just started like my tattooing career and everything. I was still apprentice and he's like, man, like I really want to do this too. Like, how do I get drawing? Like, what do I do? How do I start? I was like, bro, you got to go take a class from a professional to learn.
Yes.
And he was like, okay. And did it,
Yeah.
And now here we are.
Absolutely. Like, it's like, that stupid meme that it was like, how do you draw a face? It's like, first you draw a circle, then you draw the rest of the fucking face. Like that's how some people teach. You know what I'm saying? They're like, you just do this and then you just do the rest of it, dude. Like, what do you mean? Like, but it's like, a good teacher will like explain to you all of these little things that are going to be like, oh, this is why this is here. Like the first time that somebody taught me that, like, oh, look, if you just align the inner part of the eye to this nostril, it'll give you correct anatomy. I was like, wow, that just helped.
The crazy thing about drawing, though, is that you could draw from life all the time, but if you're just drawing, looking, like you might draw it good for what you're looking at, but you actually have to study it.
Yes.
If you're just drawing it while you're looking at it, but not really studying it and not really like focusing on learning why things are the way they are and how, like retaining that information, the next time you go to do it, you're not going to do it right. You're going to try to remember how it was, and your memory might not be that great unless you actually studied it and this is how it works.
Yeah, me and my friends, we called this the vault, and we would get together and like draw things from like different angles in a little notebook we called our vault. So, it's like I memorized all the forms of these objects and everything. try to keep in the back of our head.
No, that's great. That's great. Like, I think that one of the best things you can do as a tattooer is find something that you fucking love to tattoo and just learn to fucking draw it from memory.
Yeah.
You know, like if you love to tattoo something so much, draw that shit so much that you don't need a reference at all. You're like, oh yeah, I fucking love tattoo. And just show it, you know?
But then take it one step further and now draw that in different angles, different positions.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I mean. Like, know it so well that you can just draw it from every position because you just studied it so much. And you're like, and at the end of the day, I've seen careers of people that have built big careers because they knew how to draw one or two things extremely well to that degree.
Like
you
Richard
know?
Smith.
Exactly. Fucking beautiful roses, or I know how to draw perfect snakes, you know? So I love to do snakes and I can draw you a cool snake in every fucking angle possible. Perfect. You know? I feel like doing things like that, you know, like, are great to build careers overall.
Yeah. All right, cool. Want to wrap it up?
Yeah. Anyways, it's a good conversation today, guys. At the end of the day, whether you've been tattooing for 10 years, you've been tattooing for 3 years, we're all in a fucking journey to get better. I think, you know, that's one thing we all got today. You know, I feel like, you know, the things that you guys go through together, you know, learning and sharing information and trying to find information from either collecting tattoos, you know, from other people and seeing what you techniques and things that, you know, are applied to you and your body, then let you go back to your group and be like, oh shit, check this out. This is how he did this thing.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you get to see the end result and see it age and see why it worked, why it didn't work, whatever, you know? Yeah. And then you get, because I've seen that within my own tattoos, you know, seeing what things that people did on me that I'm like, oh, like healed perfect. And actually that actually aged not as great in 10 years, you know, are the things that I think make really tattooing like a lifelong journey of just like learning and growing and changing the way you do things.
There's no ceiling.
There's no ceiling.
Goes up.
And I wish you luck with your shop, man.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
The craziest part is, to me at least, it's like, you know, working with your partner and your best friend. That shit sounds crazy to me. You get no breaks. You get no breaks, bro. Oh man.
Yeah. You know, we get along really good. And it just kind of works out. Like honestly, like,
no, that's awesome.
I don't even think about it too much.
I know, that's awesome. You know, I just find it terrifying.
I know a lot of people say
I find it terrifying personally, but I think like it's fucking awesome if it works. But thank you so much for coming through and talking about us today, man.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. So as always, make sure you like this freaking video. Make sure you support our Patreon because we're going to put out some more information there for you guys. And always share our videos to your friends because we appreciate it. So thank you guys for watching. Peace.